Hi everybody. Thought I would talk about today how helping you helps me. Most of us have been brought up in a society and a culture that's cloaked in linear time and the illusion of becoming, which means we're living unconsciously with goals in the future. And inevitably, on a material level, we can really gather a lot of material, and then we measure success and happiness by that collection. We compare ourselves, we judge ourselves, we judge others. And then we come across non-duality because none of that has worked. An awakening completely flips the script. We go from living with an idea of a future goal, which does give us a certain energy, but when we're unconscious we don't realize that it's a mad energy. It's because it will basically put blinkers on you and discard the relationships around you, all for the purpose of obtaining that goal. So we might be harsh with our family members and friends because we're so hell-bent on achievement. And then when that all disappears, when the veil drops and there's only this moment, it's a bit like a snow globe where there's the water and the fake snow that floats in it, but unconsciously all of that snow had just fallen to the bottom. And now in a way it gets shaken up, and all of the things that we never wanted to look at, we become conscious of it all. Conscious of the state of our relationships, the way we feel about ourselves, what we've pushed down and hidden. And then the goal and the purpose of life. So the universe is energy, positive and negative, which is also giving and receiving, helping and needing help. So for me it's been an incredibly challenging journey. Awakening happened years ago, and I have never come across as many challenges as I have since, because every little stone that I hid has been unturned. And sometimes life brings you to your knees, and you become completely and totally helpless, which has happened to me. I lost everything, lost the house, the car, the girlfriend, money, so my identity, the it's incredible how everything disappeared. And in our conditioning, being helpless is the most unwanted experience, the thing that we would push away the absolute most. That sounds like failure. But in helplessness, we become so close to God. Because as God looks after the birds and the cats and the deer, He looks after us. You can call God Source, Shiva, and anything you want. Being helpless forces us into our feeling of both the gut and the heart. In the gut it's the feeling of being safe, and in the heart it's feeling everything. And the more we feel we discover that we can only be ourselves, that most of our anguish comes from trying to be other than we are. And a big blind spot is the illusion, especially in the Western world, of being impervious, of being in control, not needing help. Being a man, men are brought up with this idea of having to be strong, stoic, never expressing emotion, never showing your weakness. But God, in this sort of awakening process, that is such a funny thing because it's the most amazing thing, and yet I wouldn't wish it on anybody because it brings so many challenges. But it opens your heart to the fact that I really want to help people and I really need help. And we speak about non-duality, meaning not two as in the absolute and the relative, but as it's mentioned in the Bible, and Jesus, it's the Holy Trinity is more about the consciousness, or nothing is the all-pervading, and then in the manifestation there is both the positive and the negative, the day and the night. So the Holy Trinity, giving and receiving. So we really come face to face with the idea that the universe functions holding the two truths in everything, that I give and I receive, I help and I am helped. I can't do this alone. And when you really start seeing this and feeling this, then you are going to have to be confronted with your feelings of others. There can be, after awakening, this sense of superiority, like I've got something that others haven't. And although even some non-dual speakers will say that it's not the case, it can be very, very, very subtle. There can be a very subtle judgment, like, oh, I don't have these problems, or I'm above that. Because when awakening happens, and we are just the spaciousness, and that spaciousness is so palpable, it's so real, we can want to just hang out there and in a way detach ourselves from reality. But because the stillness is always there and life keeps on going, it can potentially all crumble. From my experience, it crumbles quite plainly and simply because I was no longer able to uphold the activity of madness that I had been previously willing to put myself through. When it was seen that how mad it all was, that I could work a job because it had this future hope of becoming, and that it never became, I was no longer willing to put myself through that. So things crumble, and that can bring a state of panic or a state of concern, but at the same time the palpable nothingness, which is peace, is always pervading and all pervading, and so then we can hide ourselves in that peace and not want to face the reality unfolding. And timing changes because we start to act more with the natural flow of life instead of I want this to happen now. So this is linked with faith. So we're living with God's will, not with our own will. But there comes a time where we see that they're not separate. But there can be a changing of focus, so that our focus is not in the measurement of our success, but instead of the immediate flavor of life. And that takes getting used to. We must be patient and loving with ourselves to allow that to simmer and to adapt. So everything gets felt, and the more we feel, our freedom then comes through the feeling. So in the beginning it feels like we need to heal, and that can feel like it's a task. Eventually there's a feeling of, I want to feel this, because all the answers are in my feelings. Both in what I'm pushing away and what I'm okay with. Happiness and fear and all these opposites. But helplessness is a powerful thing, because without being dropped into that kind of a situation, I don't think any of us would consciously choose to have that. To really, really need other people to look after us, And that's where we discover that we can be loved even when we need, even when we are helpless, that we're still lovable, we're still okay, because there is such a sense of needing to prove, to do something in order to get love. Quite often when we were children, we were given the sense that we had to do chores or do what mummy and daddy told us, and then we would be appreciated. And it set up a structure of pushing away love, because it will only ever be as a end result and not as a lived permanent experience. And so peace after awakening, if that's what any of you have experienced, can also be a trap, a way of avoiding feeling. But we really need to go into our feelings and just feel that decontraction, feel let go, and feel that it's okay. Whenever we're in a defensive mode, we contract. If we don't want to feel something, we feel that the body is contracted, and if we let go, we feel that it's allowed, that until all feelings are allowed, every single one, anger, rage, sadness, joy will not appear, because joy requires full aliveness, full okayness. So I hope this helps you. Peace and love to all.